Welcome back. Thought I'd do a really quick update on my green card, which I've been waiting a year for since we got the notification that we were due our green cards. Selena got it immediately, I think 6-7 months, I can't really remember. Go back and watch the green card videos for an update, but it was super quick from application to issuance of the visa or the green card visa for Selena, super quick. For me, I had to go in for a review. Now, of course, you start thinking, well, why is that? Is that because there's an issue with they don't believe the marriage? You start reading online the reasons why it could be. And what we had done is started building up a case. We ended up with a file this thick with things like evidence of marriage, evidence of properties that we've owned for a long period of time in the UK, stocks and shares that we shared together just to kind of really bolster the fact that we had been a couple for ever since school, in fact. But you just have stuff running through your mind as to what it could be or what the problem could be. Probably 3 to 4 weeks ago, we get a notification through that I am due my green card interview. Sounds very official. And it kind of was in a way, but also not, which I'll run through in a moment. Anyway, we got the 3-week notification that my appointment was due, which was super exciting. The moment I got that, we booked trips to the UK. I'm also going to Madrid, Selena's in Madrid, and Mexico. So the reason I couldn't do that before is even though I had an adjustment of status, I can't remember what the term is, there's a specific term, advanced parole, that kind of operates above my status, my L2 status. It allows me to travel on that and not void my status. I didn't want to take the risk because if I left the country and then got the notification, I could have spent thousands of pounds and then I have to come back immediately because we didn't know how long they gave you in terms of the appointment date from the point that you receive it to when you're supposed to be there. So it's been this kind of feeling like you're trapped. Even though I don't need to go away, I like it here and there's plenty to do in the US, it's really nice to know that you can. But once I got the notification, we made sure we had a full pack of documents. We had an appointment at 8:30. There's a very funny story, or not funny, it was a horrible story just before this, which I'll include in another video, but it's around, I've taken up jiu-jitsu and I made a big mistake attending a jiu-jitsu session at 6 a.m. the morning of, and it ended up having to have Selena drive and do everything for me. Completely different story. Anyway, we arrived there about 10 past 8. I think we waited outside for about 5 minutes to get called in. There's 2 separate queues. So there's a queue for fingerprints, which is one side, which was a lot longer, and then there's a queue for interviews. And they come out and take the interview people in really quickly. I'm guessing to make sure that they stay up to date with the interview times. Went in, we sat down for maybe 10 minutes, or 3 or 4 groups ahead of us that got taken in. Our guy came out, called us in, and he said, before you sit down, you need to be sworn in. And I'm thinking, sworn in? I didn't know if I was meant to know something to be sworn in. It felt very official. And he was adamant that you can't sit down until you are sworn in. It was very simple. The swearing in was just simply, you promise to tell the truth, because this is a testimony that can be used later on if you lie on it to deport you, to cancel your visa, to ban you from the US. So they just want to make sure that you're agreeing that this is going to be a truthful statement. It took 25 seconds. He started off by saying that he's read through the file and everything is completely in order, but because they had said that I had to do the interview, he has to go through the full interview process. However, he doesn't see there's going to be a problem. What he explained was during that whole COVID period, they probably separated our documents. Why? We have no idea, but Selena's got processed by one group of people and mine was sent somewhere else, and that for some reason triggered an interview process, because as far as he was aware and his experience, it should have all been processed together and it should have been really easy. Before we got in, and he actually said to us that he's already been through the whole file, he's checked the criminal record, he's checked our background, he's checked our income and salary and all of this stuff, so there's nothing in there that'll be a problem. Because we were like, oh, we've got this folder to prove. He's like, you're really not going to need that. The interview process itself, I think, including the chatting, I think it was maybe half an hour. If you deduct the chatting and back and forth and jokes, it was probably about 15 minutes. And the interview really consists of them going through everything that you've put down in your petition and your application for the green card and reviewing it with you. So for us, there were only a few changes on there. So for example, the address they had on the documentation that was submitted is different to the address we're at now because we'd bought a place and moved. There were a couple of other bits on there. So there were 4 total changes, which are kind of clerical changes. Once you'd gone through all of that and asked all the questions, you have all of the usual stuff like, do you intend the US harm? Have you ever harmed anybody? Have you sexually assaulted anybody? All of the questions that hopefully the people that are coming in here would answer no to, but I guess they have to ask those questions. And then right at the end, they say they'll go through all of the changes, make sure that I'm okay with those changes. I get to sign off on them, and then he will review this with his team leader. It sounds a bit more official than it is, because when it goes into in review status, it feels like, oh, you're back in this loop again, but actually it wasn't. He had reviewed it with his manager and signed it off within a couple of hours. I think we came home, had some breakfast, I recovered from my injury, and by then the status had changed to green card issued and is now being printed or waiting to be printed. So I should be getting my green card in 1 to 3 weeks. So after 1 year of waiting, it seems like it was kind of a clerical mix-up due to the pandemic rather than there being any problems. Now, of course, mileage varies. Some people, I'm sure there are issues, or he did say sometimes there is questions over marriage, but because we're both from the UK, and one of the things he pointed out, he said, you in particular cannot hide your accent, as in me, which I'm quite proud of, so I've kept my English accent. But I'm sure they pull certain people in, maybe if you're marrying an American citizen already, whereas myself and Selena are both British citizens, that kind of makes sense. But if you're marrying an American citizen, maybe they want to investigate a bit further. The other thing he said that could trigger it is if you answer yes to wanting to seek benefits. He said there's one caveat to that, and that is if you're seeking benefits for your children, it's fine. But if you answer yes, it is grounds for denial of your visa, which is kind of a tip. Don't say yes. Not that we're looking for it. What they do to kind of mitigate that before is they check your income. So they have your income and they'll say, are you able to support yourself and your dependents if you had kids? Yes or no. If it doesn't look like you are, I'm sure they're going to really push on those things, because potentially you're coming here to seek benefits from the US. Outside of that, super easy, nothing to worry about. So for anybody else that's pending a green card approval that's in a similar situation to ours, hopefully this is helpful and puts you at ease. People in different situations, who knows? The US is an interesting place with its red tape, bureaucracy and paperwork. But hopefully you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching.